to buy, it's mandatory, they have to have a portable computer with a PC base. If they couldn't buy it, the credit union would finance them. Today, our classrooms are equipped with latest technology. And the one thing that I have to say is that every semester, students have to pay a special fund for pedagogical innovations.
Oh, that's nice.
So, which gives the faculty about $400,000 a year, and that is the students who manage that money. And it has to be invested in infrastructures, in innovation technology. So every year I come into my classroom, I have new projectors, I have new software.
Very interesting.
We have one of the most sophisticated systems in the world because, as I said, we don't have a choice. You think of Brazil, 200 million people. 200 million people seems a lot, but it's peanuts.
Yeah.
If you look at China, India, 1.3, we're at 2.6 billion people living on the fourth side of the world, cheap labor. 200 million people speaking Brazilian is like, speaking Portuguese is like French-speaking people. If you count Quebec, France, Africa, we're about 250 million people who speak French. Who wants to speak French? Why? For sure, it's great. I can tell you it's the best language in the world. You can tell me Portuguese is the best language in the world. But why would somebody learn Portuguese? Why would somebody learn the French? They have to learn English. It's very frustrating for some. And if you don't do it, it's expensive. Like I came here and I realized very few people speak English as it was in Quebec 20 years ago. If you can't speak English, it's a lot of money we've lost.
Yes.
Because if I have somebody coming from China, and he's walking on the streets and he wants to speak to somebody, he's going to use English.
Yes.
If they can't speak English, it's terrible. And I felt the same thing as I was going around supermarkets because I'm in business and I want to look what's going on in the business world. Nobody can help me. They don't speak a word of English. And it was exactly the same in Quebec. And we realized how much money we were losing. And evolution is all about change and managing change, predicting change. And today in the digital world, it's amazing. For example, just take one of your texts that you wrote and put it on Google Translate. Translate it from Portuguese to any language in the world. It's instantaneously. Bang. I'll tell you that I've been doing a lot from French to English and other languages to French. And 2 years ago it was full of mistakes. Today there are very few mistakes left. How does it work? It's artificial intelligence algorithms. And the University of Montreal and McGill University as well, they've become leaders in artificial intelligence. And this is the future, numeric digitalization. For us in business, it's essential. For example, small businesses in Quebec who couldn't export 5 years ago because it's too expensive to translate all their work. Today you can do it, it's free, it's instantaneous. It puts into question the existence of translators. It's everything, facial recognition, prints, everything. So that's it.
Okay, very good. And which factors do you believe that will boost the changes in higher education in the next years? For example, you mentioned artificial intelligence.
Money.
For example. Money.
Money. Money because if you think, and I love the comparison between Brazil and Quebec. Culturally speaking, but if we just look at numbers, okay, it seems little numbers, 8.6 million, 200 million, but our population is getting older, getting very old. In order to be able to keep our standard of living and our pensions, we've invested heavily in our pension funds. The Caisse de dépôt et placement du Québec is one of the largest pension funds that exist, about $250 billion. Of that money, there's only about 7% invested in the province of Quebec. The rest is invested elsewhere, especially in Brazil. Why? Because Brazil is a developing country in the sense that it's growing fast. So they can provide cheap labor, they can provide, but we know it won't last. But return on investment is good. But at the same time, Brazil has to invest in infrastructures. They have to put up tons of money, as we did, in infrastructures, roads, airports, social development, education. That's expensive. They need the capital. They need this and they need that. So, and as we're getting old, Brazil is a young country, so we need each other. And universities are the bridge. There's no other way to bridge than through universities.
Yes, but being more specific, for example, which are the characteristics do you think that will force this change in universities? For example, globalization, internationalization, technology, artificial intelligence. For example, we have got the case of the MOOCs.
Well, you're talking about something very. I gave a class in international business where I had to make the demonstration that globalization has reduced the conflicts in the world. Even if we still have some, it's nothing compared to what we've been living, or my parents lived during the Second World War. Globalization helps people become wealthier. With wealth creating value creates education, creates better standards of living, and so on and so forth. So if we start working with globalization, I have to speak a new language, I have to understand. So when we talk about globalization or international relations, there are three main distances that you have to look at. The first distance is what we call the institutional distances. What kind of institutions do you have? What kind of political institutions do you have? Do you have a democracy? Is your democracy reliable? Are your laws reliable? What about corruption? There's not only corruption in Brazil. People think that Brazil is corrupted. In Quebec, we've been sending politicians to jail in the last 5 years like never before. We have a permanent anti-corruption group that scrutinizes every contract going on with governments. Every week there's a scandal in the papers. People in Canada think that we're corrupted. We're not more corrupted, just that we're catching them.
Yeah.
Because for us it's fundamental, because we want to send a message to other people. If you want to do business in Quebec, don't worry, the contract will be respected. The money you send will be guaranteed, and so on and so forth. So then the institution, what about your education program? Do we have the same kind of credits? You have, yes, your diplomas, can we recognize them? Can we recognize